Who are you and what does your company do?
So my name is Andre. I'm the COO for Legal Funnel. We're My Legal Academy. We're an educational company focused on legal professionals, specifically law firm owners, typically solo operators or just very small core team who are looking to grow and scale their business. Typically, these guys are, struggling with operational efficiencies, and they come to us, tap into our program resources to be able to easily scale their business and focus on the legal side of things rather than running the entire gamut, recruiting, marketing, sales, and so on. And people come to us because we have a proven program. It's been going on for almost 3 years. We deliver results to every single member.
Over 3,000 reviews. That blows my
Over
mind. I'm like,
3,000 five-star reviews, yeah, hundreds of testimonials and case studies. We're not trying to beat ourselves in the chest, just people do get results, and
yeah,
it's, comes with the territory.
that's awesome. And you guys are building a commission-based high ticket sales team, a remote sales team.
Correct. Yeah, we started off with two who've been with the company from almost the very beginning.
Mhm.
I brought on board before I hired you one person just because it was a personal connection. So we have three stellar sales reps, and we're at the point where we need to grow ourselves as an educational organization, and that's why I tapped into your program because I needed to bring a sales manager on the team.
Yeah,
I did pick you because I liked the model that you provided.
yeah.
And then again, the results of my initial experience were really good.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And so, um, you guys had success bringing on like a few reps before. Was there a reason why you didn't maybe handle the sales leadership thing on your own or try to get more reps on your own? Like, what was the core reason you were looking for, help?
Yeah, primarily time. It's
Time.
doing, yeah, unless you have an internal referral,
Yeah.
it takes time to go scout all of the recruiting sites or
Yeah.
write the application and then interview one by one. It's time
Mhm.
consuming, and I don't have
Yeah.
the time. Cost benefit analysis points that my time is better spent running the strategy and then bringing in somebody like yourself who know what they're doing so that
Yeah.
you can augment my time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. And so you guys came to us, and the goal was to hire a high ticket sales manager to manage your remote commission based sales staff. And so, what has it been like working with SRU, results wise, and communication and those kind of things?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. We connected with you. I appreciated that in the beginning. We exchanged some emails where you were involved and you provided
Oh yeah.
some feedback. Yeah, I have some experience in managing a sales team, so I think that we sort of aligned on that. But the communication was pretty straightforward. What I liked about you, you gave a lot of resources at the outset, both with your SRU online, but also with very descriptive written material where
Mhm.
I, as a customer, had a very good idea of what needs to be done first, second, third. And even though it took me a little bit of time to get to that, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to jump into interviewing before I reviewed your recommendations, when I got to it, it was really straightforward. So again, I go through a pretty consistent interview process myself because I've done it hundreds of times in the past.
Yeah.
But your guidelines were really clear because you introduced a different type of audience, and your dynamic is different from just traditional one-on-one interview. And I
Yeah.
think that what you provided from the beginning, before I jumped into those group interviews, really helped me understand the whole flow, right? Those step-by-step instructions, and prepared me for how to better structure my approach during that first call. And by the second call, leaning on your instructions and also the experience from the first group call, I was actually able to pretty effectively communicate what I needed to communicate. Again, leaning on your instructions, but also just it made total sense.
You crushed it because everybody wanted to work with you. That's how
Well,
that's how I can tell. And well, the company's
it's
really good too.
but it's a numbers game, right? It's a
Yeah.
numbers game, and yeah, and the good part again is to your credit is that you deliver those numbers, right? So if I had three people that on the group call, it wouldn't be as effective as
Yep.
when I have 15 people, and the second time was over 20 people. So
Yeah.
you just naturally get a good number of qualified candidates at the end of the day, even if you were maybe not comfortable with this format or you don't know much about it. It just naturally have a few people who would be curious about your product offer and will stick around and then go through the process. But yeah, a couple of times with your instructions and support of your team was all I needed.
Very cool. And so you did a couple group interviews and then paused recruiting because you're like, hey, I'm good. So what were kind of the results like? I know you had some sales management candidates, like 6 of them, I think, and some sales rep candidates as well. What did that look like?
Yeah, it was funny because it was right before Thanksgiving break, and you guys went for that week on the break, and I said, well, I don't want to lose a week, so I asked Brittany to push a couple of interviews before the break, and she did that. I mean, she was really cool. She was like, yeah, sure, and she just scheduled everything. And the minute we talked, I saw the invites, and then that Friday, I got an interview with about 15 people, out of whom I probably had 2 days worth of interviews back to back after that, like one-on-one. And then as I'm going through those interviews, I get the second group interview and I'm like, well, I'll give it another shot because I still have, I better have more candidates. So on that Monday, so that was on Friday, on that Monday, I get another group interview. And then I think I have like 30 people scheduled for that. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's a holiday break. And
Yeah.
I want to tackle it really quickly. And from that interview, I also had probably, maybe over a dozen people who wanted to go through the one-on-one process. And I wound up with probably, I would say maybe 20 really good candidates. And out of them, and mind you, we're talking about sales manager, right? So this is higher caliber people with experience, people with understanding. And then out of those 20, I would say maybe 6 who were really stellar candidates who I wanted to just bring on board. I said 6 sales management positions, I would probably bring all of them in. So yeah, and I landed on one pretty quickly. He was really good, went through the process quickly, and yeah, he is on board now.
Awesome. Was there, what would you say to somebody considering to work with SRU?
I think that it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. If you don't have time and if you need a good volume of good candidates, I think that's the way to go. Yeah. If you look for 1 or 2, that's that's a good option. But if you look for to bring in a number of people, and that you have the timeline of, let's say, 3-5 months ahead of you when you need to hire a team and build up the team, I think that your option is perfect because you offer that volume, you offer the timeline, you offer the training, you offer resources, so that as a hiring manager, I can always lean on your expertise. I can lean on your resources. I can get on the call. And I know that over the next, whatever, 3-5 months that I need to do the recruiting, I always have that volume and support for your team. So yeah, I think that this is a perfect option.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today, my friend. Thank you so much.
Of course.